Chapter 1. The Legend of the Eternal Flame. In the ancient kingdom of Eldoria, the legend of dragons was woven into every tapestry, sung in every song, and whispered in awe by those who dared venture into the shadowed forests. Eldoria was a realm blessed by nature's splendor, towering mountains, dense emerald forests, and rivers that glistened with pure, crystal-clear water. But it was also a land cursed with the memories of a time when dragons ruled the skies, their powerful roars echoing through the valleys. The people believed that deep within the mountains lay a relic called the Heart of the Dragon, a mythical jewel that held the life force of all dragons. According to legend, this relic was crafted by the first dragon, the mighty Seraphil, who breathed his last flame into the jewel, infusing it with his soul. It was said that whoever possessed the heart would hold dominion over dragons, a power that had tempted kings, sorcerers, and even thieves for generations. However, the jewel was fiercely guarded. A dragon called Valtor, descendant of Seraphil and last of the great dragons, had sworn an oath to protect the heart. For centuries, he watched over it in solitude, high within the Mist Peak Mountains, where no mortal had ever dared to tread. Chapter 2. The Young Warrior's Quest. In a small village near the edge of the Mist Peak Mountains lived a young warrior named Kale. Raised on stories of dragons, Kale felt an unexplainable bond with the legendary creatures. He often dreamed of flying alongside them, feeling the power of their wings slicing through the air. His parents, farmers by trade, discouraged such fantasies, urging him to live a simple life, free from the dangers that awaited beyond their humble fields. But Kale's curiosity was unquenchable. One evening, as he lay staring at the stars, an elder of the village approached him, sensing his yearning. The elder, a wise and weathered woman named Yara, shared a prophecy she had kept hidden. "You have the spirit of a dragon, Kale," she said, her voice a mixture of reverence and fear. "One day, you will face Valtor and the heart of the dragon. The fate of Eldoria will rest in your hands." The words echoed in Kale's mind, filling him with a strange sense of purpose. From that night on, he trained harder than ever before, preparing himself for a journey he knew would one day come. He honed his skills with sword and shield, mastering combat and strategy, yet he was humble, recognizing that his spirit was as important as his strength. Chapter 3. Into the Mist Peak Mountains. 3 years passed, and Kale had grown into a formidable warrior. One fateful morning, a dragon's roar shook the sky, louder and more fearsome than any heard in recent memory. A strange fear gripped the villagers, who looked to the mountains with dread. Yara approached Kale, her face etched with worry. "It is time, Kale," she said. "The heart has begun to awaken, and Valtor will not be able to protect it alone. Forces of darkness stir in Eldoria, and you must find the heart before it falls into the wrong hands." Kale set out with little more than his sword, a map, and a heart full of courage. He journeyed alone through the dense forests and treacherous cliffs of the Mist Peak Mountains, each step bringing him closer to the realm of dragons. The journey was grueling, but Kale's determination kept him moving forward. The air grew colder as he ascended, and a shroud of mist wrapped around him, obscuring his path. One evening, as he camped on a ridge, he encountered an old man sitting by a fire. The man's eyes held a wisdom that felt ancient and otherworldly. "Why do you seek the heart of the dragon?" the man asked. Kale hesitated, surprised by the question. "I seek to protect it," he replied, unsure if that was his true purpose. The man smiled knowingly. "Protecting it is noble, but remember, young warrior, power tests all who seek it. Be wary, for even the purest heart can be corrupted." With those words, the old man disappeared, leaving Kale to ponder his warning in the quiet of the mountain night. Chapter 4. The Guardian. As Kale ventured deeper into the mountains, he sensed he was being watched. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, and strange footprints appeared in the snow. It wasn't long before he realized he was not alone. One evening, as he scaled a cliff, a powerful gust of wind knocked him off his feet. Before he could regain his balance, a massive creature swooped down, blocking the path ahead. Its scales glistened in the moonlight, each one the color of darkened steel, and its eyes burned with an ancient fire. Valtor, the dragon, stood before him, towering over Kale like a living mountain. Kale could feel the heat radiating from the dragon's body, a reminder of the power he wielded. But he did not raise his sword. Instead, he bowed in respect. "Why do you come, mortal?" Valtor's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Kale took a deep breath, his voice steady. "I come to protect the heart, to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Eldoria is threatened, and I seek to defend it." Valtor narrowed his eyes, searching Kale's soul. "Your words are brave, but bravery alone will not save you. The heart is not a tool for mortals to wield. It is bound to dragons by blood and flame." Kale understood the dragon's reluctance, but he also sensed that Valtor was not without compassion. "I do not seek power for myself," he said earnestly. "I seek only to protect what you guard." Valtor considered Kale's words. After a tense silence, he spoke. "If you truly wish to protect the heart, you must prove yourself worthy. A trial awaits, and only those with the spirit of a dragon can succeed." With those words, Valtor led Kale to a hidden valley nestled within the mountains, a place where the snow never fell, and a strange warmth filled the air. Chapter 5. The Trial of Fire. In the heart of the valley lay a glowing pool, its surface rippling with energy. "This is the pool of Seraphiel," Valtor explained. "It is said to be imbued with the first dragon spirit. To complete your trial, you must step into the pool and face the essence of the dragon within you. Only those pure of heart will emerge unchanged." Kale steeled himself, casting one last look at the towering dragon before stepping into the pool. As soon as his feet touched the surface, a surge of energy coursed through his body, filling him with both power and fear. The world around him shifted, and he found himself in a vast, fiery realm, with molten rivers and skies ablaze with storm clouds. In the distance, a great dragon roared, a colossal beast with scales the color of embers and eyes that glowed like stars. "Face me, warrior," the dragon bellowed. "Prove that your heart is true." Kale fought with all his might, dodging the dragon's fierce attacks and striking back with courage. The battle tested his every limit, pushing him to the edge of his endurance. But Kale's spirit remained unbroken, his resolve unwavering. At last, the dragon relented, bowing its head. "You have the heart of a dragon, Kale," it said, its voice filled with respect. "You are worthy." Chapter 6: The Rising Darkness. Emerging from the pool, Kale found himself back in the valley, his body transformed. He felt stronger, his senses sharper, as though he had been reborn. But his journey was far from over. A dark shadow loomed over Eldoria, an evil sorcerer named Malachar, who had been watching Kale's progress. Malachar sought the heart for his own twisted ambitions, intending to harness its power to enslave dragons and rule Eldoria. Valtor sensed the darkness approaching and urged Kale to make haste. Together, they returned to Eldoria, where Kale would face his greatest challenge yet. Chapter 7: The Final Battle. The kingdom was in chaos as Malachar unleashed his dark forces. Villages burned, and the people cowered in fear. But Kale and Valtor fought side by side, their combined strength an unstoppable force. The sorcerer's dark magic was no match for the power of the dragon and the warrior who had proven himself worthy. After a fierce battle, Kale struck down Malachar, freeing Eldoria from his tyranny. With the kingdom safe, he returned to the mountains with Valtor, where he vowed to continue protecting the heart. Chapter 8: A Legacy Begins. As Kale watched over Eldoria, he became a living legend, a warrior who held the heart of a dragon. And thus, a new chapter began, not only for Kale but for all of Eldoria, whose people learned to honor and respect the ancient bond between dragons and humans.